Hey guys, this is going to be a quick video. We'll call this a bonus pick video. This is a small handful of items that I picked at the tractor show swap meet that I just featured recently, and I forgot about these items. So I just wanted to show you these items, and then I wanted to revisit an unusual unidentified item from that video that, well, basically this thing right here. I want to talk about this thing. But first, let's look at these missed items. So first up is this Heathkit RF signal generator. So those of you who know my channel know that I have a weakness for vintage electronic stuff and old CB radios and stuff like that. And what this is a signal generator that is designed to put out an RF signal, and it's used for aligning receivers. Now, this particular one here, I bought it as is. I had no idea whether or not it worked. I have one of these now, and I think I have another one in another brand, so I didn't really need any more, but the guy who had this didn't seem to value it too much, and he took my offer of $3, or I think maybe he said he wanted $3, and I said, well, heck, $3. The leads with the screw-on connector here are worth the $3, but just for the heck of it, I threw it on the bench here, and I didn't hold out much hope because it's got the front cover here is dislodged from the case, so I don't know if it got put back together hastily or if it was dropped or what, but I threw it here on the bench, turned the power on, and it came on. I have my trusty scanner on behind me, and I have it manually tuned to 47 megahertz. I've got this on the 22, this is really old, MC, which stands for megacycles, which is an old way of saying megahertz. The 32 to 110 megacycles band, and right around here is going to be 47. So it's very touchy, but there it is. So right now, there's a dead carrier coming over the scanner. It should have a tone on it. This has an internal oscillator to make a tone, and for some reason, that's not working. That would be selected by this knob right here. See, external modulation, you put it in that position, and then you could actually hook a audio signal generator up to this input and get it to actually modulate the RF signal. But when you flip it to this, internal modulation, what should happen is there should be a tone on this frequency. So this is the level control for that modulation, and makes no difference. So there is something going on here, but I'm not going to worry about it. For $3, I'm quite happy with that buy. Well, so just for the heck of it, because I wanted to fix how it was mounted in the case, I popped out the 2 screws in the back, which lets this whole unit slide out from the front, and I turned it around, and lo and behold, this tube right here is about halfway out of its socket and tilted. So I'm just curious whether or not if I... Yeah, that tube's not even really that warm. Reseat this tube and see whether or not that brings back the modulation. Well, that's interesting. Now that has... Oh, now it's shut down. Well, reseating that tube, actually it died, but then I found out that the contacts, the tube sockets were dirty, so I cleaned those. So now it's staying on, but it's still doesn't have the internal oscillator working. Could still be a bad tube. I don't have time to mess with it right now. The next item up is this light. It's an old machinery light, and when I can pick these up cheap, I buy them. Cheap being $10 like I paid for this one. Unfortunately, I accidentally broke the plastic piece off the top here on this one, so this has actually got a switch that's supposed to have a plastic piece you push down to turn it on. That would pop this out, and you pop this back in. But I can actually still use it like this if I want to. These have become quite sought after by people that are doing, I guess, I don't know, like a whole vintage motif to their homes and stuff. There are certain brands of these that I don't recall the name off the top of my head that are just really crazy expensive. I'm sure this isn't one of those, but it's just going to be a neat old machinery light that if I ever get around to eventually putting it on something, I'll put an LED bulb in there, and it could use a new cord. The insulation is frayed, but it was worth it for 10 bucks to me. And then next up, here's an old antique, I should say a builder's transit or surveyor transit. In case you can see his hinge is broken. I mean, it's a mess, but I've got kind of a weakness for these things. So I cut a deal and I got this one and this other piece that we're going to look at in a second here for 40 bucks. So I'm into each one of these for 20, and that may quite frankly be more than they're worth. But I don't know, I just think they're really cool. Essentially, this is a fancy telescope that would be used by a surveyor or a builder back in the day to lay out lines for foundations on a house or fence lines, property lines, things like that. So the way it works is we've got a level here, and we've got this 4-post mount with these fine adjustments. So this would sit on top of a tripod, and once it's on the tripod and you rough level it, you would then use this precision level that's built into the thing right here and adjust these knobs so that it was level in all directions. And then you would be able to actually sight down it, and you'd have a assistant downrange that would be holding up a vertical stick, and then you could actually use this to determine not only direction but also grade. Now this one is interesting to me because it doesn't have any graduations on it for the azimuth or the direction. So I'm not sure if maybe this is strictly for doing elevation only. So there is a name on it here. It's the Beckman Company, the L. Beckman Company of Toledo, Ohio. And this whole tube here looks like it might be brass that's painted black, or was originally painted black. A lot of the, or copper? I'm not sure. A lot of that black is worn off. It's got a lot of brass pieces on it though, for sure. It's got a brass lens cap on it to protect the objective lens. So I've seen a few of these before, but I've never seen one that had a little aperture like this that you flip up to open this eyepiece. I couldn't see anything through it, so I unscrewed it and was able to figure out that that's exactly what this is. It's a little thing you flick to close that up. So I can actually see through it, so not very practical these days. It's more of a visual, more of an ornamental thing now. Would look nice cleaned up and on the shelf in some surveyor's office or an architectural firm or something. This is a little hood that goes over the objective lens to block out sunlight glare. This is the one I thought was kind of cool. So this is a little more elaborate. This is almost like a theodolite. So you can see this one has 2 levels on it, so you can actually set the level in 2 axes at once, or 2 directions at once, I should say. Unfortunately, it's got a broken vial on the top here. This is the level that sets when this is set level. And then it almost seems like maybe there was a compass needle that sat on here, and maybe even a glass inside here. So this is kind of in rough shape. All the nice work they did here in the construction of this thing. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe a parts unit for somebody that restores these. Hard to say. So I haven't been able to find the manufacturer's name on this one yet. All right, I want to wrap up by talking about this, what was a mystery item to me initially. I've now determined that this is a device commonly referred to as a box or Troth compass. So the idea is it's not an inclinometer that's supposed to sit like this. It is supposed to sit like this. And this little lever does exactly what it's supposed to do. It locks this for protection when the so it can't fall off of the little pivot point, I guess, if it gets jarred. And then once you have it installed and you're using it, you would release it. And it basically it's a works like a typical compass, that it's going to respond to magnetic north, and it is used to orient different types of equipment to north. So if you want to align something, like for instance one of those builder's transits that I just showed you, you might have something like this that would be mounted. So that's probably what these ribs right here are on the side, were probably for this to be able to be mounted down to whatever device it was used on. And then you would basically rotate the device around until you got the needle to hit 0, which would tell you, I don't have this perfectly level so it's kind of hanging up, but there is going to be a point here where I can get that needle to actually hit 0. So right now that's magnetic north. You'll notice that there's plus or minus 5 degrees. So that's probably so that you can take into account the declination angle, I believe is the term. And I'm going from like way back in the day when I was in the military, and they taught us basic navigation using the map and a compass, and they taught us about the add right, is it add left, right, subtract? Oh, I don't remember exactly, but basically there are charts that you would look up, and depending on what latitude and longitude you were located on Earth, you would factor in this extra amount of degrees when you're trying to get the map that you're using to correspond with the correct reading you're getting from magnetic north. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but that's what I believe that this device is used for, is so that you can align the equipment with magnetic north, but also, if necessary, take into account the small deviation you might have to make to account for the declination angle. So I've seen online some examples of these that were actually used on sighting equipment, like for artillery and stuff like that, but it seems like more commonly it tends to be something that's used in, again, survey equipment. There was a book that I found online that was printed in 1916, and it was an English book on, it was an English book regarding reconnaissance and map reading. And it was probably for World War I era soldiers. So kind of a neat thing. Don't have any idea who the manufacturer of this particular one was and what the value is, but I don't know. So there you go. For anybody who was wondering what this thing was, that's it. You can just Google Troth Compass or Box Compass, and you should be able to find pictures of these. All right, that's all I got for you for now. Thanks for watching, and take care.